Away we go.
Okay, this is the application of HE study skills in the workplace. It's reflecting on communication. Okay, communication in the workplace takes place in many forms, whether it be with clients or colleagues or just general members of the public. And that could be discussing a brief or resolving conflict of a personal or a professional nature. And it's really important in the business environment, partly to cut down on costs. It can be a very expensive thing, this communication. The last thing you want is to also create a bad reputation for yourself for not getting things done correctly. Now, my personal experience of communication in the workplace, I've actually got quite a few, because I've had quite a few years of experience, leadership-wise and supervisory-wise. I've had a lot of experience in conflict resolution with both colleagues and customers. I do consider myself a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to working. I'm confident in the knowledge I have. I'm also confident working as part of a team. However, weakness-wise, I actually lack confidence in the leadership that I do have. And I think it's backed up by this sort of fear of failure that sort of hinders me quite a bit. But at the same time, the perfectionist part that is in my strengths, I also consider to be a weakness. It means I end up spending too much time on things, and that can sometimes stress me out and hinder what I'm trying to do. I do find that I have shortfalls in my vocabulary, so sometimes when I'm trying to explain things, it doesn't come across quite the way I'm trying to. And I'm quite uncomfortable in public speaking. Okay, so getting information in the workplace as to how you are communicating, performing, you can do it various ways. Questionnaires, I don't really like questionnaires. Although it gives you sort of quantifiable information, can tell you exactly what areas and to what extent you're actually failing on those. I don't like it. It's not very personal. It's not a method I choose. Self-reflection is something I'm not good at. Never have been. So I tend to go for peer feedback and appraisal. I find that a much better method of reflecting by other people pointing out to me where I've got my flaws and where I've got my issues. The actual point I'm actually going to be reflecting upon was actually during the Stone Pillow filming. It was actually when communicating with the talent and at the same time the people I was working with when filming, and it was an issue of not being able to communicate properly what I wanted them to achieve, but at the same time not listening to input from others as well. I've never been good at that. When it's my project, I tend to get sort of megalomaniac-y kind of thing going on, and I don't really accept input very well from others. Okay, so that looks at the models of reflection. I started with Driscoll's really simple sort of three-step plan of what, so what, and now what. And to me, it was a bit too simple, very cut and dry. I didn't like it because although within the what, so what, and now what, there are a lot of questions to be answered, I feel I needed a bit more, a few more steps to break things down a bit further, a bit easier. And it didn't really have any sort of emotional content to it. Cole, his four-step plan, similar to Driscoll's, however, the sort of central step has been broken down into a review, reflect, and a conclude learning section, which is better, and it's a bit easier for me to use properly. But the one I'm actually going to go with, or a variation possibly on, was Gibbs's model. I really like Gibbs's model because it's a nice, really easy to follow 6-step plan, and it actually deals with feelings, which is something I like. Because a lot of what I do have issues dealing with emotional impact on my work, and quite often leads to stress. So I think that's quite a really nice cycle of how to deal with things. And it sort of fits better in my working style. Okay, so the areas I want to achieve by using the cycle is I want to understand where the difficulties I have come from in managing people and sort of communicating instructional and informative information. But at the same time, I want to understand why there's this need to control the aspects of the work I'm doing all of the time, not really giving others the chance to contribute. Now, although I feel I've picked the right model for the task, I'm not that experienced with this. So I know some of the other guys here have already done this. So I'm looking for a bit of feedback as to if they think I'm choosing the right model for what I'm trying to achieve. But at the same time, if anybody's noticed any of the aspects that I've spoken about, any of the trouble communicating or the sort of megalomaniac-y aspects, I'd like to know about that. Does anybody think I'm actually trying to achieve too much with what I'm trying to accomplish?
Okay, so we're opening it to the floor now. Guys, are there any comments, constructive comments, that maybe Paul can take away with him to inform his reports?
Well, I think that you said that you like Gibbs model because it takes in feelings as well, which is, from what you said, it's probably the right model, because Cole's model is more kind of experiential based.
Yeah.
It's based on experience. It doesn't really consider the feelings. So I think it's definitely chosen the right model in my opinion.
Yeah, because experiences I don't have a problem with looking at, but it's actually dealing with the feelings I was having at the time, which possibly led to the stresses or whatever was going on. Yeah. That's what I'm not so good at dealing with.
Yeah. It's all to do with, like, I guess when it's your project, it's your vision, and you kind of you want it to. I'm pretty much the same. I tend to block out what people say.
Yeah.
I tend to just go with what I want, because it's it's your project, and it's fine now because it's your work and it's your grade. But it's when it's in the professional environment, it's not necessarily, unless you're filmmaking or something. If you're doing work for a client, it's not your work, so you're just going to have to make what they want.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
That's it. Yeah.
Any other comments, guys?
In like reference to your topic, which I guess communication as a whole, it's a good one because you can reflect so much upon yourself on how you communicate with others.
Yeah.
And in some sense, you can communicate on how they communicate back to you, and then how that affects you.
Yeah.
Whether it's a good communication between the two, in general the job's done better.
Yeah.
But it's working out from reflection how you can make that communication in reverse better, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So how you
getting the
what you can get back.
correct communication back as well.
Yeah.
So I don't have in a normal, friendly, normal work environment, I don't have a problem with communication. But it's once there's something at stake.
Yeah.
As soon as there's a grade or a wage or something at stake, it all changes and it all gets a little bit more stressful. And I think you're right. Noticing when communication coming back is the wrong kind of communication, I think might be a good indicator of when I'm communicating badly. So that's really cool. Yeah. I don't know how I'll do that. I suppose.
Well, that's
keeping some kind of.
That's
reflective
something
diary
you'll have.
or something.
Yeah, I mean, you would have to keep. Well, you're expected to keep a journal of day to day what's happening anyway.
Yeah.
The diary is one way. Having a series of very carefully crafted analytical or auto-analytical questions that you ask yourself at the end of each day
Yeah. Yeah.
is quite good.
Yeah.
You can then actually monitor an evolution of responses. So, how well did I do today in this particular skill that I always encounter every day,
Yeah.
for example?
Yeah.
Some days it might be bad, some days it might be good, and then eventually the idea is hopefully it just gets better and better, according to someone, say, like Bruner, who talks about the spiral curriculum of learning, which means that you reach a point of saturation, and then and only then do you go up a level, and then you reach mastery, so to speak. Might be an idea to look at Bruner.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, thanks, Paul.
Okay. Cool.